So it's a draw to end this first batch of county championship fixtures, Mark. Kind of what we've seen across the 4 days. Bit of a shame the weather today. Could be quite an interesting end to the match, though.
Yeah, it was actually. I thought it was a brave declaration in many ways. Really, I think very gettable in other conditions. I guess we always probably knew there were showers knocking about, which might have impacted the decision making, but certainly from the start we fancied it. Yeah.
So it's a start that's been a bit mixed, is it? Is that fair to say?
I think that's very fair.
Is that a polite way to put it?
Yeah, no, I think that's very fair, Scott. I think we're disappointed on the whole. I don't think we can hide behind the fact that we've not really, over the course of the 7 games, played to our usual standards. I think we know there's more in the tank for sure. There's clearly been some positives out of the 7 games. Thought it was a fantastic result at Blackpool. I think Durham are a good team, and that was a great result. Some really good individual performances, I suppose. Keaton standing up in that game, and he's really led well from the start. Obviously, the encouragement around some of the younger players, seeing some performances from them that clearly show they're capable of putting in some decent performances at this level. I think we know we've got a crop of good young players, and we're always keen to try and find them game time. That's their best chance of learning. So we'll definitely benefit from that. But overall, I guess as a team, we know we've fallen short of our sort of expected standards really across the course of the first couple of months, and that's been frustrating for everyone. I don't think it's through a lack of effort. I think everybody's trying. Everyone's talking, trying to think about how we can continue to keep improving in areas. But for whatever reason, we just haven't quite clicked. And in some ways, you're hopeful that at this point in the season, we've got a change of format coming, and that might kickstart some certain individuals into finding some really good form for the rest of the year.
Did the Blackpool 4 days and that win over Durham show that? And that's probably the first time you put together 4 days of good cricket, wasn't it? And you've got the result. Does that show what the team can do?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's under any illusions about what's capable. We all know individuals have got in them some real high quality performances, and we know when we're on song we're going to be a very strong side. I suppose you're right in many ways that stringing it together for a period of time during that game was what we needed. But we also, I suppose my assessment was that although I was watching from my sick bed for most of it, was that when we really needed to, like certainly Balderson at the end, that game was in the balance. Yeah. Let's make no bones about that. For him to stand up like he did and bowl Durham out was a great effort. So I still think collectively I think we all know that there's areas that we can make a shift in, and in some ways that's probably where we'll focus our attention, to say, right, we know there's a bit more from all of us as individuals, and we've got some good game time into some young players, which, like I say, will be of huge benefit moving forward.
Those defeats, the 3 on the spin that you suffered, how concerned were you when you were watching the side play in those 3 matches?
Yeah, I suppose concerned. I think frustrated probably is the best word, because there's more in there, and you're not playing to the standard that you can, and everyone's trying. So, and the coaching team are working extremely hard with all the players to try and turn things around. So I think when you've got much more in the tank and you're capable of a lot more, then that frustration it's not just me who feels that. There's a bit of frustration around the whole group, knowing that we're not putting our best game out there. And sometimes in sport, and in team sport particularly, trying to unpick that is not straightforward. If it was that easy, we'd all be performing at our top all the time, and we all know that doesn't work like that. So it's a case of trying to figure out how we can move forward more positively, and how we can start to click as a team. And I'm confident that in time we will do that.
You mentioned the captain who's led from the front, hasn't he, Keaton, through the course of the summer, and some of the younger lads, the 2 Georges, Matty Hurst, Tom Aspinwall, at times have all contributed. Is it just really unfortunate that some of your senior batters look like they're out of form all at the same time?
Yeah, and I suppose in some ways even more frustrating is that they might be practicing well, and actually we're hitting the ball okay, but it's just not clicking in games. And I think that sort of goes for both with bat and ball, really. So, and I don't think we should underestimate the impact of a new environment. It takes time to build trust and build relationships in teams. There is a degree of transition around this side. We can all acknowledge that, for those of us who've been around a bit over the last couple of years. And I think you do have to just sit back and give a bit of patience to let relationships develop, let everybody figure out how people operate. It doesn't just happen like that, and you're very lucky if it does. So I think that's the other element that we just need to be aware of, that everyone, players and staff alike, are all trying to find their way with each other, and that will come in time, and we'll build trust in the team and each other, and I'm sure we'll get back to our standards. And I'm hoping, like I've said before, that a change in format will just be a nice sort of reset for everybody, and by the time we hit the next 2 Champo games, we're all in a really good headspace.
After the draw against Warwickshire here, that's the halfway point, isn't it, of the championship season? I actually don't think you're playing another championship match here again until September. What would be your view now as to what's a good season in 4-day cricket for Lancashire this season? Now we're at the kind of the halfway point of the campaign, and has that changed at all from what perhaps you may have hoped for before the season?
I think I'm always hopeful at the start of the season that we're going to compete across all competitions. I think you have to go in with that mindset, but you're also very aware, particularly with what happened the month out of the season, much of our strategy's got sort of turned on its head a little bit, with the news coming about Nathan late call-ups to the IPL to certain players, a bit of frustration around injuries that we were hoping to get on the park a bit sooner. So when you add all that up just prior to 3 or 4 weeks of the season, you probably have to be reasonably realistic and go, well, we might be blooding two more young players than we had planned for, and you look at the positives of actually doing that. So I don't necessarily want to stand here now and put any predictions together, other than I would expect us to be playing better, slightly more consistently higher standard cricket going into the next 2 Champo games. And if this team can solidify its position in Division 1 and finish with some strong positive cricket, I think the benefits that we've gained even in these last 7 games, we'll reap the rewards of that down the line.
You've got Nathan, haven't you, for 2 more championship matches?
Yeah.
Do you know what might happen with regards to an overseas signing after that? Is that an ongoing kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously in the market, but that market is pretty congested. If you go away and have a look, there's quite a lot of international cricket being played in September. But for sure, we will be looking to try and add to the squad in an appropriate way to give ourselves again the best chance of those last 5 games, making sure we compete strongly in them games. So an ongoing beast, that one, really, Scott.
And catch back Jimmy. Do you have any idea yet what Jimmy's going to do?
Not total clarity, no.
Right.
No, he's got a back to bowling plan now. He's in tomorrow for a bowl. I think with an intention of trying to be up and running for Canterbury and Southport, particularly Southport. So I think he obviously wants to try and get himself in as best condition for his final Test match at Lords. He'll want to do himself justice in that game, and there'll be a build up to that. Whether he's quite ready and it's pretty much a week at a time, really, depending on how he feels. You'll see how he gets through the next few days, and if we get enough overs into him and everyone feels pretty comfortable, then he might get a run at Canterbury. Yeah. So beyond that, I don't know. we've got to sit down and have a coffee about it. I don't think he's sure himself yet.
Fair enough.